And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome back into the Dragon's Den. I hope everybody's doing well today. Good morning, Westery One. How you doing, sis? I saw that you streamed the other day and I missed it. I am so sorry. It has been a crazy week. How's it going, Waters? Hope you're doing well. I'll see you in a little while. Welcome on in, Havoc. How are you doing? Hope you're doing well as well. So for those of you that haven't been here in a little while, hey, Guru of No, welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes, coffee. We've got some coffee. This is our Black Rifle Freedom Roast and Decaf. So half and half here. And Mrs. Dragon will be bringing back Duncan probably later on in the stream because she's doing some running about. And there you go. There you go, Waters. And then we'll stream until about noon. At roughly around noon, we're going to stop. And I'm going to relocate to Echovate, and I will be down there working with Makesh from the automated team on the latest revision of the auto eject. You're doing good. I'm glad you're back to stream. Westery, what is your schedule if you're going to be streaming? We'll be setting a okay. Don't have a schedule yet. Mia, miss you. Yes, I miss Mia too. I miss Mia too. And I missed you guys out at Murph, but I am sort of glad that she didn't come because it was so incredibly hot, humid, and moist. That I would be worried about Mia with as hot as it was. It was just bad. But welcome in, sis. So we've been working on a few things, and I will say you will probably see some changes back here. There may be some things getting moved around because I'm trying to set up for some more production work. And we're going to be replacing some of the stuff, especially down here where the TiVo Tarantula and the Ender XY have been. We're going to be divesting some stuff, so look for some sales up on Discord or at the in the local area here. We're going to divest some of the printers. Once again, as you all know, there's certain printers that near and dear can't go anywhere, but we will be getting rid of some of the printers to make room for some production work because I am picking up some clients now. So, hey, Chewy, how's it going? Yes, exactly, Westery. Exactly. So with that, what we've been working on, and I will do my little thing where I back up a little bit. Hey, welcome on in, Da Vinci and Technoside. And howdy, howdy, howdy. Yeah, so I'm going to get rid of the banner so you can see the camera up there. But we're also going to back up a little bit, and we're going to show you the frame. So for those of you that missed the first two stages, first stage we built this one, second stage we started working on the gantry system. We are rebuilding our Ender 5 size Mercury 1.1. So this is the Nebula Frame. You may have, if you're a subscriber to the channel, you may have seen a similar frame to this being built for the smaller Ender 5, and that would be the Ender 5 Pro size, a couple of years ago, right? So we built that. It was under closed beta. It's now referred to as the Nebula Frame system. So there's 3 upgrades for an Ender 5. It's kind of a stage thing. You have Mercury 1, which gets rid of the Cartesian setup and goes to CoreXY. Then there's the Hydra mod, which will either get rid of the cantilevered bed of the Ender 5, Ender 5 Pro, or the dual Z setup on the Ender 5 Plus, and basically makes it a triple independent lead screw like a Trident or a rat rig. Now there's this next phase, which is the Nebula Frame, and that's getting rid of the Creality extrusions, which we all know you're lucky, you get really good set of extrusions. If not, you may have a twist, you may have a bow or a warp extrusion, which will throw off the kinematics of your system. And these frames, well, the one I built was straight up Misumi frames that were cut by Misumi, shipped to me, and then I drilled and tapped them myself. The frame that we just did behind me is the Nebula Frame kit that was done by LDO, and it's a gray. It's not space gray, it's just gray. And what we're doing to that now is taking it the next step further, right? And what does that mean? Well, it means we're drastically reducing the number of printed parts. And that's kind of what you see here. We now have our all-metal CNC idler setups where we're using a print for the spacer and a print for a spacer down here. And this heat set that you see right here will wind up being used as the tensioning mechanism to pull and slide this whole thing across the top for tightening. We have our motor mounts. Once again, double CNC stack at the bottom, 1/8 inch plate, stack at the top, M3 spacers, and we will have some printed parts that go in here, and we're going to hold our motors in double shear, meaning the shaft of the motor is supported both at the top and the bottom. That way it doesn't, that shaft can't get bent when we apply a lot of tension to the belts. Now that's going to be critical because the other thing that we're doing is switching from standard 6mm belts to 9mm belts. So more rigid frame, CNC motor mounts, idler pulleys, and the XY joints, right? Everything's aluminum, steel shafts, pulleys. And we even went so far as to pop the flanges off of a standard pulley to make it a live idler, a 9mm live idler, with very few printed parts. The printed parts are really spacers on those idler pulleys to line them up appropriately, and so forth. So all of that to say, we're going to have a very rigid frame. We're going to have a very rigid CNC metal. It's going to allow us to torque things down and hold it in place. Double shear on the motors and the idlers so that when we go in and install our 9mm belts, we can get the tension really high so we can get high precision, quick reaction time, and less, we'll say, jitter or jerk in our motion system. Then, thank you, TurtleCrawler, who provided the files for the CNC gantry. Well, he also sent me the files for the motor mounts. So now I have 2 sets of motor mounts. So we will be installing them on the big one, and then we can go through and swap them out on the smaller one as well, and go from the printed motor mounts to the CNC motor mounts, which will be a lot more rigid. Also, thank you to TurtleCrawler because he knows I have no impulse control, right? We have a set of SLM, so metal printed bed mounting yokes coming for both printers. So basically all I would need to do is order another set of the plates here, or maybe mill them myself on the Milo later this summer, and we can do a full swap out on the small one over to CNC parts as well. You've been fixing printers, sis. Very nice. Very nice. Welcome on in, Eagle the Dragon. Hope you're doing well. And we've been talking about motors. Like, we're literally going, the plan was to build the Nebula frame and then move parts from the existing printer over into this frame. Then TurtleCrawler sent me the 9mm CNC belt mod for the gantry. It's like, okay, we're going to move the linear rails over. And then I had another thought. And we got a set of, and I still love these. These are so cute, right? We got a set of Kraken motors. Thank you, West 3D. They help sponsor the motors here. And these are extremely beefy, a lot beefier than the motors that I have, right? We got the lovely Kraken logo and stuff on the back. Longer shafts, once again, double shear, right? We're going to be adding these on. We'll be getting our double shear going. And you'll notice that there's the standard 4-wire, and then there's these other 2 wires. These have built-in thermistors. So we're going to be able to push these hard and monitor the temperatures of the motor as we do it. Because I did pick up some 5160Ts, some Big Tree Tech 5160T drivers while I was over at Ecovate this week. So we will have the ability to also swap out our electronics and run the A and B motors at 48 volts using the 5160Ts. Or I still have a Kraken motor or a Kraken board to put in something. So we could go Kraken board, Kraken drivers, or Kraken steppers. You don't know. We might just continue and make this a complete whole other build. The tool head is going to get a special tool head. I can't really, sorry, can't really say more than that, but it's going to have a special tool head. Excuse me there, folks. And without further ado, let me go ahead and get into Autodesk here. Thank you, TechnoSide. It's going to come again. There's going to be at least a third. Okay. It was teasing me there. So yes, it is going to be a little supercharged, right? We are going to have a pretty souped up little system here. Let me. Why do you not have like open recents? Now I have to like go find files. Ah. That does not feel like it's the right thing. Apparently it's gotta be. Sorry, I was looking at the CAD files, so let me switch over there. We'll pull that up. Hey, Barry Printer, how's it going? friends like TurtleCrawler instead of that guy that sells your circular saw. Yeah, exactly. So you have a guy that has your circular saw, but yet TurtleCrawler's sitting here saying, "Hey, look at this. This is really cool. Hey, look at this. This is shiny." And then you get out there and you're like, "Ooh, we can have them countersink it. We can have them deburr. We can have them tap, bend, bead blast." Yeah, I mean, and it just keeps everything you select just makes it more and more expensive. So this is what we're getting ready to work on. This is the gantry system that we're putting together. As you saw, the front idlers here have already been done. Our XY joints kind of getting there. And then our motors are where we're sort of at the moment. So what we wind up doing is just trying to figure out our way through here. Imperial, 9 mil. I don't think we need that belt, and we don't need to see that belt. We just need to see our parts here. And of course, what I realize is every time I turn things around, I lose the directions. So let me see if I can just hide the motor, and we'll grab the top plate here and hide the top plate. And we'll just start kind of working our way down. So this is obviously the right side of our motor. Yeah, we're going to do this one, and let me... Don't worry, I'll readjust the camera. We're going to kind of be working right here. Okay, so move the Krakens. Get those out of the way. And I'm going to sit down here because you're just going to see the talking hands for a while as we work our way through this. Yeah, the All-Metal Gantry is next to your Merc, but here's the thing. If you're still using, hey, Additive Adam, welcome in. If you're still using the Creality Frame, I would highly suggest that you get the Nebula Frame. Because I cannot express to you how rigid that's going to make the printer overall. So if you're going to do upgrades, before I would do the CNC on the standard Creality Frame, I would actually get the Nebula Frame. Yes, Luke's personal opinion there. Okay, so what we're going to do, have I ever told you how much I hate, there we go. All right, so of course we'll have our 4 screws here. These are M3x8s that are going to hold the motor onto this top plate. Dang it. Folks, I will be right back. I apparently, was smart enough to leave all of my drivers downstairs where I was working on other printers for people. So I will be right back after I grab my drivers. And for those of you that are keeping tabs, I've been working on 2 Voron 2.4s and a Voron 0. I will tell you that they all appear to be FormBot kits. And the V0 at least was one of those things where it was doing a bunch of weird things and skipping steps randomly. And I will tell you this, if you're getting a FormBot kit, a DFH kit, probably even a FISEC kit, do yourself a favor and learn about TMC Auto-Tune. Because I was chasing the issues, and then I remembered when I built the Salad Fork and the Micron, I had the same issue because they weren't LDO motors, right? And somebody told me about TMC Auto-Tune, and as soon as I did TMC Auto-Tune, all issues went away. So just something to be aware of in your journeys. If you did the Nebula Frame, you just build a whole new printer. I mean, it's basically a new printer, right? Now, it's a different equation if you like bought an Ender 5 at like original printer, right? I bought mine on eBay used. I knew I was going to be doing work on it, so I didn't care, and I know I can fix them, so that's what I did. And yeah. Okay, so which one am I using here? Yes. So we're looking at our printed parts here, and what we're looking for is this bottom piece right here. Okay, which means tall on the left or the front side toward us, and shorter spacer on the rear. So this is going to get mounted right down in here. And what we're going to wind up doing, and if I go to rotate this over, it'll mess me up, but it's going to be, no, it won't be. Dang it. Be nice to me. Okay. So what I need to do is figure out what these screws are right here, and they are M3 by 12 countersunk screws. So that's going to be going through the two bottom plates and into this plastic piece where I did the heat set inserts. Okay. So I'm going to need M3 by 12 countersunk or countersink screws. And we're going through metal into a metal insert. It is around plastic, but we should still be good because we're going through metal into metal. We're going to go ahead and put a little bit of Loctite. With the 9mm belts and the ability to run this at a higher speed, current, amperage, we're going to want to make sure that all of our parts are pretty well locked in. We will see some vibration, so, and where we go? Yes. There we go. So you'll notice that the center spacer piece goes around that standoff. Okay, that's how that's going to line up. Make sure that your screw holes are lined up, because once again, Loctite and printed parts are not really friendly together. So that's why I was kind of hesitant, but I decided, yes, we're going to go ahead and do it because we're going to put a lot of pressure on this. If I have to replace some printed parts later, I will replace some printed parts later. And then I will do another video and talk about how my decision to put blue Loctite on these screws going through metal plates and into heat set inserts was a bad idea because it hurt the printed parts, which will cause them to get brittle and crack over time. Hey, welcome in, Shrimp Father. How's it going today? Hope you're doing well, Martin. Okay, so those 3 screws are in. Whoops. Those 3 screws are in. Now, one thing we want to do is get our bearing, our support bearing in here first. Do they show the bearing? But we shall see. They are not showing a bearing, but there should be a bearing down in there. It's made for a double shear, so we'll go ahead and get one down in there. Of course, I should have done that before I screwed everything down, because that would have been easier. Why not, make it harder on myself? Of course, I'm also assuming that this is taking a flange bearing by the way it was looking, but would this just take a regular? Let me look at the bomb real fast and do some math. Mercury One. I assume that it was double shear. It might not be. Bomb. Dowel pins, pulleys, bearings. 10 and 20. So 10 and 20, each stack has 1 regular bearing, 2 flange bearings. So the flange bearings is twice as many as the regular. So those would not be used for double shear. So looking at this, it does not appear that this is set up for double shear from a bomb standpoint. Huh. I wonder if they're just making the parts to be potentially available to do double shear down the road. Hey, Jeno, how's it going? Huh. I know I have some other bearings that would probably fit that gap. We'll play it by ear. If I decide to do something a little off board, I will let you know. Okay. So we're going to come back over here and let's go ahead and start building out our bearing stacks, right? We got our 2 bearing stacks right here that we're going to work on. So, hey, switch this around some. There we go. Now this is, where am I going? There we go. Or I can just do the easier thing and move the camera. There we go. So now we can see one and the other. Okay, so we need to do our bearing stacks, which means we're going to need 2 of our dowel rods. These should all be the same length. These are M535. I do have some M540s. We will double check whether these are 35 or 40. Oh, M530 actually. It's a Liz. Hey Liz, how's it going? Yeah, these are 35s. That is calling for an M530 up here at the front and an M530 in the back. Do we have 30s? We've got 40s, 35s, 45s. Nope, no M530s. Nope, we're just going to use the 35s. Pretty sure that they will work. Now, one thing that you want to do that we found out the hard way is make sure that your bearings are sliding on your rods. If they're not, which this is not, then grab your drill. We will chuck up that rod just a little bit. We'll use some sandpaper, wrap it on that rod, hold it firm, and go with the drill. We're not looking to take a lot off. We're basically just trying to scuff it up and remove a little bit of material. We'll wipe it off, grab the bearing, and see if it slides on there a little bit easier. Right? So it feels like we're good. Maybe another pulse more. Okay. And don't forget to turn it around and finish off that shaft. Okay. You don't want these to be really loose, but you do want them to be able to slide on fairly easily. We'll do the other one. Doesn't take much. So welcome on in, Pez Liz and Petty Ruxpin. How are you doing? Liz, I am happy for you and Zombie with your new Hedamame stuff. I'm actually waiting for them to get back to me. They reached out to me, and I'm just waiting for them to respond to my response. So hopefully I will be joining the Hedamame Club, is having Hedamame sponsoring my stream soon. Hey, Kevin, how's it going? Kevin, I don't think Mukesh has gotten back to you yet. I had a few conversations with him yesterday, but after today's stream, we will be heading back down there, and I will be spending the rest of the day down at Ecovate working with Mukesh. So I will make sure to at least have him reach out to you via text or something to acknowledge you and make sure that you feel like you're still loved, because you are. So once again, our bearings should now go on, be able to slide around. We're going to have one of these go over here, one go over here, and on this front side we're going to have a bearing stack. But let's see, we've got 1 millimeter shim at the bottom and a 1 millimeter shim at the top. So we're going to take one of our shim washers, flange side down to the shim. We'll need a standard bearing and another flange bearing, this time with the flange at the top, making it like that. And you'll see that our pin's not coming up at the top there, so pull that pin up some. Now my worry is this pin can go all the way down. So I'm wondering if this is originally designed to be a pocket, but that is, as you can see, a full through hole there. So these are 35s, or what do we say? Yeah, 35s. I'm going to reach out here and grab 45s, and I believe these are 40s. Let's grab a 45. That should give us plenty of room. And if you're building printers and you don't have a selection of 5mm and 3mm dowel pins, you might want to get some. You never know. They come in handy. Oh yeah, lots of familiar names in here this morning. Once again, we're going to test that out, and you see how this one goes all the way through. So that's the downside, is depending on where you get these, you get M5 material that's cut into length. And this one, I can tell the surface finish overall is a little bit better, which tells me this is a precision dowel pin and not M5 stock cut to a length. So that goes in there. Now you see it's a little bit higher than this side. We'll see what that kind of gives us. We have some room. We can push this down and kind of just make it line up with all of the other. Oh, yeah. We should be able to push that down. I've got a very, very slight. I'm not even sure if I would call that a misalignment. Thank you, Mrs. Dragon. We're going to crack these all off just a tiny bit. And we'll see if that will allow me to get all of these holes between the printed part and the metal plates to line up a little nicely, and let this go in. Probably going to be a big fat no. Of course. That's fine. We'll take the 40 back out, and we'll use the next size up on the or the next size, the middle size for that particular M5 dowel pin, because that I'm pretty sure is going to be too high. It's higher than all of the other standoffs. Well, actually, we put the plate on, plate in the right orientation. Now this is definitely going to have to push through that hole, which appears to be undersized. That's why it is not lining up. So yeah, easiest is going to take this down one. I think it's a 5mm difference, so that should get us closer. Give me dowel pins. And it's funny because I ordered these and I know I have stacks and packs of dowel pins everywhere. So I probably had the dowel pin sizes that I need, and these are not going to go on nicely, so we will have to do the drill on this. Like I said, this just makes quick work of it. And this is part of the build. I mean the build process. So if you guys were counting, like I said, I've been working on a couple of 2.4s and a V0. The V0 is done as far as we'll say the build and initial tuning of the printer. I need to put all the panels on, build the top hat, and I'll be ready to go back. And then the 2.4 that belonged to EPAX 3D was delivered back to them yesterday. So they now have their printer back, and give it back. There we go. And the other 2.4 belongs to the same owner as the V0. So we will be trying to finish both of those up. The 2.4 was mechanically working. I was going through the commissioning process and kind of stopped when we hit the there we go. That's going to get me right to a good height there. So again, we're going to have one shim at the bottom, flange down, no flange, flange up, shim, and then we'll have our top plate. On the other side, we have the built-in spacer, and we're going to do shim, flange, standard, flange, a shim, flange, standard, flange. And of course, the other thing I'm doing is making the assumption that those are 1 millimeter shims. Cool. Yes. So flange, regular flange, and I've got like no nubbings left. So we'll have to make that one a little bit bigger as well. So we'll take this one up a notch. Means we'll go ahead and do our sanding, because I'm pretty sure we're going to have to do the sanding. Double check just to be on the safe side. Yeah, we're going to have to sand. Much better. Here it works. So you don't have much better to, yeah. I hear you. So if you did hear what my comment earlier, I am taking on some clients for some production 3D printing work. And I am also working with the automated folks on their product launch and getting kits out to beta testers. And yeah, I will be representing automated at some future events, to include whatchamacallit, Formnext, 3D Printopia, and others. All right. So there we go. So we've got our two bearing stacks. Now, before we can mount our top plate, and screw that down, we're going to want to install, oh, how are we going to do that? This is going to be fun. So we need to install the plastic piece first, top down. These are going to be done with M3x8 countersunk screws. I don't know if these are not 8s, are they? These are 10s. Yes, I know that Makesh has a list. Excuse me, has a list. I am working on helping him get the kits ready. We're gonna kind of do like we did for you, Kevin. We're gonna build a kit. We're gonna make sure that everything's working, and then we will send out the kits. I believe what we're gonna do is we're doing bomb verification right now. And once we get that done, the plan will be to send the kits out and they will build it. If we have specific people that say, hey, I can test it, but I'm not a builder, can somebody build it? Then once again, for the folks in the US, that's going to be me building those, and we'll build it, get it, get it tested, make sure that everything's functioning, and then we'll ship it out to the individual in a couple of parts where we can flat or not flat pack it per se, but yeah, pack it, protect it, get it to them. There we go. Okay. So we've got this piece installed. So once again, this is going to line up on that standoff, which is going to sandwich it like that. We need to get our motor in from the top, which means we need to now mount the motor, or at least one of the motors, to this. So we'll grab one of our motors. These are connecting with M3x8 socket head screws. But yeah, we can definitely try and get Zombie involved if he's not already. Now, this nub in the front, this hole, and this hole, helps if I do this. These two holes are going on the rear cross member, and then this hole is going in the, I'll say, the Y gantry rail coming forward. That's how this mounts. So this part is hanging off the back. So basically what I'm trying to say is this little notch out is at the front of the printer, which means we will want our wires coming out this side. No. That side, so we can go down. So from top down, yeah. There we go. So we'll get that in there, lined up. We're going to do our, put that away, you're going to need it. We'll do some Loctite because this is going metal, or through metal into metal. A little bit of Loctite on those threads. Hey, Daddy Wazzy, how you doing? It's been a while since I've seen Liz have both her boyfriends in a stream. How you been doing, Daddy Wazzy? I know you've been pretty busy. Some of you may have noticed that I haven't put a pulley on this yet either. I will have to do that still. I'll have to get a pulley on here. I'm trying to think. I don't know. Never checked to see if there is a tool for pulley alignment, like a printout jig. I don't see one, but we can tell where said pulley is going to need to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line the flat up with this opening here, or try to. There we go. And we'll just do a little bit of trial and error to get this sort of sandwiched and lined up. Okay, so this pulley, yes. So this pulley right here, this is the one we're looking at. This is the front idler. Can I get rid of just the idler? Top mount. You guys really... Okay, there goes the idler. No, that's what I'm looking at. There we go. So now we're just looking at the motor. So as you can see, our 9mm pulley, the fatter flange is towards the edge of the shaft. No, that's not what I'm looking for. I am looking for these bad boys. Feel like the Clydesdale this morning? Not sure what that means. Okay. 2mm. Could be 2mm. And they are. We're going to get our set screws set up a little bit of Loctite. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our pulley started on our shaft here. We're going to get lined up with the flat of the shaft. And I'm just going to pull it in to where it, I feel it's starting to bite, so it's not moving up and down. Okay. Then I'm going to set this back on here, keeping the wires out of the way. Line that up. And once again, you'll see that that center standoff is fully captured in the plastic there. So we'll get that back down on there. And we're going to look for alignment of this pulley with these upper pulleys. So when there's just one pulley, that's where the other side motor is coming around. When it's two pulleys, that's the side where you're going around, or two idlers, that's where you're going around your pulley. So what we're going to do is look down here and make sure to get the top and bottom of these lined up. And because I did this on the flat, that's going to allow me to visually adjust, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my my driver, put it right up against the flat, and look straight across. If it's lined up, I'll be able to see both top and bottom that it's lined up. And if it's still off a bit, we can make the adjustment. That actually looks good, so I'm going to tighten that part in there. And then I'm going to take this back off because I also need to tighten down the other side. So now I'm going to come in here and tighten down the side against the curved edge of the shaft. And that locks that into the motor. And once again, we should be able to put a bearing in there that will fit down in here to give us that support. But it's not that size bearing. It should be the same size bearings that we were using for the roof build. Now, what did I do with those bearings? That's going to be the issue. What did I do with those bearings? Ooh, we got munchkin donut holes. Like, seriously, what did I do with those bearings? They were over here. They're not, I think they're like 635 bearings that we were using on the roof. That's what I'm looking for right now. There'll be a wider diameter outer shell. No, this is this. That is the frame kit itself. I know I stuck all that stuff in a box to keep together because I was going to use it. Oh. Put it in a Bamboo Lab filament box and then proceeded to completely forget that I put other stuff on top of it. So, yeah, these are 6252RS. So these should fit over our shaft, which they do, and they should also fit this gap easier. So we'll be able to press this into place and the printed part, just like that. Now when we put this pulley on here, get it lined up, it should go down in there, line up, and now we do have double shear. So it's supported up here by the motor and it's supported down here by that pulley. So that gives us our double shear. Now what we're going to have to do is we'll have 1, 2, 3 spots, which are the aluminum standoffs where we're going to screw back down in there to hold this plate in. And once again, we're going to go through a metal plate into a aluminum standoff. Because we're using steel screws, we do not want to heavily crank down on here because when we do that, we will shear off the head of the screws. Yep, we got a lot of metal donuts around here. They're snacks. We eat them like potato chips. Once again, we're using Loctite on these so that they don't back out. So another reason why we don't need to torque them down with all the UGGAs and the DUGGAs, because then we'll break a head of a screw off. Then we'll have even more fun getting it apart because we have Loctite on it. And we're going to have to drill things out. Okay, so we'll put those there. And boom. There is a single motor stack. And once again, these are chunky boys. I think I have I'll say a relatively standard length NEMA 17 over here. You know, standard LDO motors, stepper motor, right? standard LDO motor, stepper motor. And when we set these up next to each other, not a lot longer, but a little bit longer. And once again, the shaft is also longer on it, which is enabling us to do that double shear point in there. So there we go. That's the right rear motor. So this will be the A motor. Remember, the left is B, the right is A, because we go bah. Okay, so now we're going to say go to home, and we need to come over to this side. Which way are we going? That's why. There we go. So we're going to hide this 42mm motor. We'll hide that top plate. And that lets us start to see things here. Let's hide. Well, we're going to have to do the same thing here. So I think I have this in alignment. What we need to do is flip it one more way to the side. Now you can see these pulleys, right? So what we're noticing is we're looking at it like this. So we have about even spacers on the bottom, which gives us a longer spacer on the right and next to nothing on the left. So that makes this part the bottom. We're going to take our 3 top screws off. Crash, bang, boom. Okay. And once again, this is the front, which makes this the side that we'll be working on, with the side with the 2. Why did I know you were going to do that? Yeah, 1, 2, and then 1. So the 2 standoffs over here are bottom plate. The center hole goes over that center standoff like so. And that's going to give us the lineup to do our through holes at the bottom. These were 10s, not 12s. And I think these screws are, oh, these are 10s. Good. No, I believe these should be 12s, right? These are 8s. These are 10s. They go back in the bucket. And we grab the 12s. And we close that so that we don't knock it off the table and then have to pick up a ton of screws. Okay, so that's lined up. We'll go on and start getting these screws in. So Daddy Wazzy, what are you using your rep racks just to keep filament dry? Or actually your, not rep racks. Your rep racks are used to store your filament on the wall. I'm thinking the rep boxes because I have a couple of rep boxes and I just moved one. Dang it. I just saw there's a new mod for the rep box coming out that will incorporate the poly dryers. All right, I know you went down here. Where did you? There you are. So I did see Pooch kind of showing that off. And while we're at it, we know we're going to put a bearing in here, so we'll grab one of our 625 RS or 625 2RS bearings, and we'll just pop that down in there. That's probably going to be easier to see there. It's nice and flush. And once again, we're going to be looking at our pins over here. We will go ahead and just continue to use the 35s. And at this point, we pretty much know that we're going to need 3 regular bearings. And that means 6 flange bearings. So we'll get these out. All right. So chances are, yep, we're going to need to sand these ones down. Again, just use the drill. It makes life so much easier. Also, save yourself some headache. Do not be using like 120, 200 grit when you're doing this. You're going to need to take off some decent material. These are hardened shaft pieces here, so don't try and come in with a fine or ultra fine. I'm using I think this is a 60 or 80 grit sandpaper. Don't get me wrong, the others will work. You're just going to have to take a long time doing it. And if you're doing this for the first time, take your time, ease up on it. I've done enough of these that I kind of know about how long it's going to take to get it to where the bearings will go over them. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. We keep looking for storage, and I'm looking at stuff that I can do because like I said, I'm probably going to need some additional space here soon. And the way to get that is going to be, of course, like most people, take over the garage. And I'll have to go through and, storage is always going to be a premium, whether it's in a garage or other shop. So we're going to go ahead and stick these down in there like so. And we're going to need washer. So a washer at the bottom of each of these. We'll need a flange set on the outside here. So flange side down against the washer. Standard bearing. Flange set or flange side up. And another washer. So we got the washer here, so it's flange side down, standard, flange side up, another washer, flange side down, standard bearing, flange side up, and another washer for a spacer. So 2 closer to the fully exposed, 1 on the inside, and there we go. So to start preparing our top plate, we know we're going to need to install this on that top plate. So we'll get that lined up. We'll need some M3x8 countersunk screws. And I just dropped that one down here and did not even see where it went. Awesome. Found it. Carpet fibers will add to that Loctite, just, help seal up any threads. Moved all your printers to the garage. Your truck would not fit. Yeah, exactly. My truck doesn't fit in my garage because my driveway's got a little bit of a slope to it, which makes it just enough that the truck doesn't fit in. Mrs. Dragon's car would fit in, but we've been parking on the driveway for so long. I think we parked in the garage once in this house, and that's it. Okay, so we've got the upper plastic piece installed. Now we're going to need to do the same thing. This would fit on there like so. Once again, this is facing the front of the printer, which means this will be the side rail of the printer. So when we install our second motor, and I'm going to triple check real fast the install I did over here on the other one. If I need to swap those around, I need to do that sooner rather than later. Yeah, so what I did in the past was run it actually towards the center, which would mean running the motors this way, or we could have them coming out the back, which will allow me to bring them down. But remember, we've got we've got our belts. Sorry, our belts are going to be coming right here. This is the back side, so the belts will be coming right along this path. So if we set the motor in there like that, then our wires would need to come down right by the belts, get added into the channel at the back here, and then routed down and along the rear of the back panel. If we do the motors like this, like I did for the other one, we can bring it over and put it into the side channel of the rail that goes down. I actually think I want to go like this the more I think about it, which means I will have to move the orientation of the other motor. Let's lift that off. We'll go ahead and get this motor secured on there. M3x8 socket head cap screws, which I thought I left out, but didn't. And once again, you'll notice that I will at least get 2 on the opposite sides, and that's going to help square up the motor to the mount. These are CNC machines, so when we're dealing with 3D printed parts, they can have a little bit of inconsistencies, but in CNC machining these, or in this case, laser cutting, they're going to come out pretty darn accurate. So we wouldn't have any issues. But it's just still something I like to do where I get them all started and then I'll come back and tighten them down. Okay, so there's another motor mounted. I'm once again going to turn the flat so it's towards that opening there, and that will make getting in there and doing the, aligning the pulley and locking it down easier. Oh, wow. That was awesome. So one of my motors had a flat shaft. The other one was a round shaft. So not bad. Not bad at all. It's just the way it is. Oh, leave this out. We need another pulley. I already pulled one out? It will work just fine. And in fact, you prefer round pulleys or round shafts if you're doing like an all-wheel drive setup, because they'll have the ability to slip just a little bit, which will help the belt stay synchronized. Okay, and this one, we're going to go in with the fat side facing down. Towards the motor face. And we'll do the same thing as before. I'll bring it down here and just start to snug the one side up onto the motor shaft. We'll set all these, line these up and set it down on there. And then once again with our stack, where the 2 bearings are, that's where we want to line up the motor pulley. So it's the lower side. We'll turn this to the side and we'll work on aligning that motor pulley top to bottom. Tighten down that one very well, and then we'll flip this over, turn it around, and tighten up the second one. Okay, and now we need our 3, these are M3x8 screws. Loctite. And these are just going through the plate and into the standoffs below. And then that'll be 2 down. The only thing we'd have left would be the idler brackets. And dang it. What is up with me dropping screws today? We're going to have to set up a screw drop counter. So did everybody see the announcement about 3D Printopia? So for those of you that go to 3D Printopia, there is a change afoot. According to the announcement that was made yesterday, 3D Printopia, this is the last year for 3D Printopia in Bel Air, Maryland, which means last year for, we'll say, lovely coffee at the Aberdeen Diner. They are moving to Philadelphia, to the Pennsylvania Convention Center, I believe, which will be in a 63,000 square foot venue. So I think there's going to be plenty of room to do everything inside. Yes, we will find new coffee. That is for sure, Pezliz. So remember, we're going to pop this back off and we'll just clock that motor 90 degrees. Because the pulley, the pulley link's not going to change. We're just changing the clocking of the motor by turning it 90 degrees. So nothing else changes. We're just going to slide that off. And we need to undo these 4 screws. I would hope so. And how many people are in Philly, so they will be like right there now instead of having to travel? I want to say, isn't Big Jano in the Philly area now, or am I thinking somebody else? Okay. Last one's out. Once again, this side's the front with that little notch, so we're going to just turn this 90 degrees this way. And screw this back down. Yeah, it'll happen next year. So this year it's still at the AGP, SCU Arena, whatever. And it's spread across multiple buildings now, or parts of the building. So when they move to Philly, we should be able to have everybody in the same room or same venue space. So that's going to get quite interesting. Yep, we'll be able to have coffee, cheesesteaks, all of the stuff. All right, so that's secured down. We'll get this lined up on the standoff. We'll do these 3. And our rear motors will be done. Amoroso bread. You grew up 45 minutes north of Philly in New Jersey. There you go. 1 hour south of New York. So sandwich right between the two, huh? It'd be pretty cool if they had a place in the venue where they could set up basically like a paintball type area for the Nerf guns. Okay, so we got our right motors, we got our right and left motors, we've got our idlers. Now we need our X and Y joints. So we'll scroll back out here. Let's turn That's front idler, so that would be, yeah. Turn that on, and they're off or whatever. We'll slide in here for our idlers. And this is the left side. Yeah. So the left side, we've got our lower piece. That's looking like that's going to be the right side. Left side. Oh, looks like I started to put these in wrong, so that'll be fun. What the hell? I'm confused now. I'm confused. So, long and the short of it, there we go. Short side, long side. I just align this in the same view that we're seeing on our screen, and I will try and make this a little bit bigger for all of us. There we go. So the short edge of the plate, the longer angled edge of the plate with the bearing over there. We'll have a bearing and then our live pulley stack. So that goes there. Okay. We will have, from this side, we'll have some countersunk holes that we did before. Now, you're also looking at these 4 holes need to be countersunk as well for the countersunk screws that go into the trucks on the printer. And from the looks of it, these need to be installed on the linear rail trucks before we mount the top on. Right? Yeah, that's what it looks like. Because we won't be able to have access to them if the top plate is on. We won't have access to all 4 of those screws. Okay, good to know. We're going to need our standoffs, which we did on the other side of the plate. So I'm just going to move these around some. We'll take things out and redo it. We're going to rebuild. We'll act as if we hadn't done anything because we'll just say I'm an idiot. No, we won't say I'm an idiot. We'll just say that I did not properly prepare myself for the event because it would be better to build up from the bottom plate than from the top plate like I did, especially if we need to then countersink this plate. I don't know how pertinent it is to do said countersinks versus just doing regular, I guess on the other side, it'll probably have more of an effect. But anyhow, I'm talking to myself. Kevin! Yes, folks, we do have merch. I'm going to start trying to come out with some more merch as well, or some more branded stuff. Yeah. You're just thinking about the 4 original Merc ZeroG V1.1s you built a while back. Yeah, so what we're redoing is the first Merc that I did, which was an Ender 5 Plus that went to ZeroG Merc 1.1, aka the CoreXY piece. The bed was rock solid. I did not have to do Hydra on this printer at all. I did it for content because I wanted to, right? So then we did the, we went ahead and did, and I don't know what I'm doing. These two are at least are going to be in the way. A couple of them might be in the way, so we'll see. But that one and this one will definitely be in the way of me doing the countersinks that I need to do for the other screws. So this was kind of like a renewal of this printer, right? The other one was a purpose-built around the new Nebula Frame, but it still uses all 3D printed parts. So when I bought the lower motor mounts, I bought enough to do both of them. I need to do another gantry set for the top, but because that is the smaller size, I haven't quite decided if I'm going to do 6 mil belts or 9 mil belts. Because if I do 6 mil belts, I think I could probably get away with reusing all of the hardware and just replacing most of the printed parts with the metal ones. Okay, so if you remember right, we have our fancy countersink. Well, we're using a countersink bit, but this is a countersink stop, which allows me to repeatedly get the proper countersink depth. So this is a depth stop. And I have this from building my airplane. So that's why we have this, but I need my wooden block. My wooden block is, we drilled a little bit of a hole in it, and that's what's going to allow the pilot nub on my countersink bit to go through, which will keep my countersink centered. So we're going to do that. We're going to grab a paper towel that we can put underneath there to capture all the metal shavings. Did I have one down there? No. But I did just confirm that I'm using 80 grit sandpaper when I'm doing my my dowel pen sanding. Like I said, you want to use like 60 or 80 grit paper. So we're going to do that. We're going to take this and move it away some, because once again, we're going to be generating shavings, metal shavings, and bearings. Probably not a good thing to have. So we'll line this up over our hole. We'll take our countersink bit, line the alignment nub in the middle, and away we go. And just like that, we get a nice countersunk hole right there. We'll take a screw, drop it in there, and see if it's good or if we need to go down a little bit more. And I think that's pretty darn good. Can it go down a little bit more? Maybe, but it's not going to matter. It doesn't have to be perfectly flush for this application. Doing an airplane, yes, it needs to be perfectly flush. But this allows me to go in and quickly do this. Full repeatability. And I'm going to have to take one more of those standoffs off, I think. Yep. And actually get over the hole. Yeah, like I said, it was a setup from the airplane stuff. So it makes it really nice and easy to do. And you get really, really good results. You can do it by hand, but harder, not harder. I mean, if you had to do this by hand, it's not going to be that bad, right? You're going to be able to do it. Doing this for, 300 holes on a skin panel, yeah, you don't want to do that. Not by hand, at least. I mean, if you desire carpal tunnel or other medical issues, sure, why not? Okay. So that's that. This is the other one. Let's get this pin pulled out. Might be easier said than done. I think this is the one I had to, oh, that one came out, yeah. Okay, so we're going to put in our holes from this side. Our original countersinks are on this side, which means these are the screws coming up to hold the, squish the plates together, which means this is the side that's going to get bolted down. I'm going to double check the orientation. So we know this one. One, two, three, four. Yeah. So that's the left side. On the right side, we're going to be looking like that. So yes, that is the way the 4 holes go in. I'm just double checking. You don't want to put your countersinks on the wrong side. Take our metal shavings, throw those away. Uh-oh. Hey, Shenanigans, how's it going, my friend? I hope you are doing well. We are working on the ZeroG Mercury 1 build and just working our way through things. We're going to start over on this side. We've got we just had to do some more countersinks because I forgot to do the countersinks for where we'll mount this to the linear rail, right? So we've got our 4 countersinks here. We've got the countersinks on the bottom plate to do our standoffs. We're going to need our pen right here in the middle. like so. Come here, dang it. There we go. We're going to need our longer standoffs. Longer standoff. Now we go down over that rod. Maybe. Possibly. Oh, I think we got some elephant's foot on that side. Let me clean that up. So shenanigans, we're using that neon magenta for the printed parts. I don't know if you remember the neon magenta from the box turtle at Murph, but that's what we're using here. So push that standoff down relatively flush. We'll get our piece there. And we're going to need a 1mm shim, flange bearing, flange facing the shim, standard bearing, and the flange bearing with the flange facing up. So that is going to give us our 9mm belt size. Now, real fast, let me come back here to the main view and do the thing. Welcome on in, Raiders. Shenanigans rating in with 15 people. Thank you much. Cortez Liz and Bearded Printer are dual streaming. Why not? Hey, Cruising Girl, welcome on in. Welcome on in. We're doing good, Shenanigans. How are you doing? Hope you're doing well. Yeah, so for those of you that weren't here at the very beginning, let me move some things off the screen and some things off the printer itself. And this is stream number 3. On the first stream, we built the Nebula Frame. This is the purpose-built frame. You would have seen me build one of these before for the smaller size Ender 5 conversion to a Mercury 1. That one has been at Murph a couple of times. This is for the Ender 5 Plus. 370, 370, 420. Big boy. This is just as tall as the Rat Rig V-Core 4 without the skirts on it. And it's just as wide. So that gives you an idea. Okay? It's going to be fully enclosed using the hybrid panels. So we'll have smoke panels on the back and sides, and I believe the top. And then the door panels will be the clear acrylic or polycarbonate. And as you can tell, we're doing metal parts, right? So we have CNC metal parts for our motor mounts. Let me go back over here to this side. So we have CNC metal parts for our motor mounts. This is 2 1/8" plates with one up top, some printed spacers, but we are using aluminum standoffs as well. And right down the center shaft here is another aluminum standoff. So the printed spacers is just for basic alignment. And it holds a bearing at the bottom to enable double shear on these motors. And what motors are we using? We've unleashed the Krakens. So these are the Kraken motors by Omnirello. There we go. It's got a standard 4-wire for motor control, but there's another 2 wires over here. Each motor has a thermistor. So you can really keep track of these motors. Also, if you see the size of that motor, this is a standard LDO motor, right? There's your size difference, right? And the shaft is longer as well to enable the double shear. The reason we need double shear is because, as you might be able to tell here, we're using 3 bearings in the stack, which means we're going to be using 9mm belts. Okay? So we're going to use beefier frame. We're using an all CNC part gantry system with 9mm belts to allow greater tension. Kraken motors that we're going to be able to run, I don't know, at 48 volts with the, I've got some 5160Ts, or I still have a Kraken motherboard here. My original thought was just reuse the same electronics, just in fact, I was going to take everything off the old one and just basically rehome it into the new frame. And then TurtleCrawler told me about the CNC parts here. So I went and did the CNC parts for the gantry. Then he told me about the CNC parts for the Z motor mounts. So I've got 4 plates here. So that enables me to do the 2 front motors for 2 printers. So we're going to do some upgrades to the other one. I don't know why. I don't know if I said 3 or if they just gave me 3, but we did get this is the rear motor mount, bent and tapped. So these are tapped for M3 threads for the Z cable chain. And the bed forks that come out, that the bed mounts on the little 9mm or MGN9 rails, yeah, those are being shipped right now from China. They are SLM printed. I'm going to tap them myself because what TurtleCrawler told me is if you tell them to tap them, they won't tap them. They will model in threads, and modeled threads in a SLM part do not turn out well. You would be tapping them anyhow. So we just got them standard. I will tap them myself. So yeah, it's kind of what we got going on and what we're working on right now. We've got both motor mounts done. We've got both front idlers done. Hold on, I'm way zoomed in, so give me 1 second here. Okay, so we have both motors. We have both idlers done. The front idlers for each motor are done. Oh, darn it, that was almost a bad mistake. Come on now, Luke. What we're going to do is the XY joints, and once we get the XY joints done, then we can mount them on the gantry rail, and we can start getting some more things pulled off and moved over. We're going to have to bring the other printer up here at some point and tear it apart to get all the linear rails out, to get the Z's, because the Z's, I believe, oh no, the Z's are not running integrated lead screws, but they're still going to have to come out. But we're going to start major lift and shift probably the next stream on this. 375, 375, 420. I said 370 by 370 by 420. The question I would have, Cruising Girl, is if the spacers, if you print TPU spacers, will they be heat tolerant enough for the bed? What are you, like, I'm assuming that these are open air and you're just printing at PLA and PETG temp, so the TPU should be fine. But I'd be worried about the TPU getting hot and squishier. Where silicone, the silicone spacers are made from high temp silicone, so they're going to be better suited to that particular use case. Okay, so we've got the one pulley. The other pulley that we're going to need to do is our live pulley. So our live pulley, we're going to have our flange bearing here. It's going to pop right down in there just nicely, right? So we got our flange bearing. We're going to need a Flange bearing. Yep, that's nice. There's appears to be a shim there. Dang it. The shim. Hey, it's a 5-10-1. Okay. 5-10-1 shim. Helps if I put the rod in there. So I'll have that there, this there. We'll have our live pulley. Remember, we made these by popping we had to pop the flange off of one of the pulleys. Then we popped the lower hub off the pulley and took that flange we took off the first one and pushed back on here. So that's how we made these live 9mm pulleys. So this goes with that bottom flange down and that hub up. Now it shows, why would we put those in? Because the whole thing's going to be able to spin in the upper and lowers. So we're going to put that in. So I do need to dig back out my set screws, aka gubbins. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Put that back in there. We got some gubbins here. Dang it. Can you line up and get on there, darn you? Well, set screw should be a 2mm, right? Yeah, there we go. Little bit of our stuff on there will come into the hub. Get everything down there lined. What am I missing here? These do not fit. Oh. At least that one did not fit. Five, nope. It's got to be the 2. Print a box for the cat? Yep. Oh, that's awesome. So by putting the hub back on, the set screw doesn't fit. So it looks like there's using a set screw. Ooh, not fully on there. That might be part of the problem. Okay, so we need the M5 by 50. An M5 nut. So this is the little device that we were using to both pull the hub flanges off, as well as to push the hub flanges back on. And we're going to see, because it doesn't look like this is fully squeezed on, so I'm going to have to try and get it going again. Get that through. That's not going to work. That could have been part of my problem too, is the way I was trying to do it. What we need is for this to be turned around like that. That goes there. This goes here. Sorry, folks, I'm talking to myself trying to figure out my issue. And yes, don't worry, there are lots of issues that I'm having right now. And that's what I need. I feel like this bolt is now just rotating. But said flange now seems to be fully on. All right, Shenanigans, you have a great day, my friend. All right, so with that done, does this now give me the ability to put one of these set screws, well, potentially set screw, if it will get on the end of my darn and that's still going to be a no. So I'm confused. Was I supposed to leave the set screw? No. I don't know. It looks like there's set screws there. It says set screw, M33 steel, M3 steel. I'm not able to get that set screw in there because the hub flange like literally gets in the way. The only thing I can think of is pop the flange itself back off, set the set screws in, and then push the flange back on. And that's literally the only thing I can think of. So we'll have to see if we can't get that going. So we'll do that. We'll grab this. We'll try and pop the lower flange off again, which would give us the ability to then insert the set screws. Which hopefully we can get fully in there under the, so the flange would be able to go over the top of them. and that bottoms out on the M5 screw, and there's no way that flange is going over the top. I am so confused here. We might have to go without the set screws. Or was there a specific BOM item to get smaller set screws? Nope. Nothing telling me to get smaller set screws. Though I wonder, are set screws on M6 pulleys, they should still be M3 or M6 on 6 mil pulleys. Would they be shorter? I don't think they would be because the bases are still the same thickness or depth, or yeah, thickness. Oh, those are even longer, so. I don't know. I'm at a loss now. It shows set screws. I'm not going to be able to get a set screw. So it's not that I can't get the driver in there. It's that I can't get the set screw in because the the whatchamacallit, that goes there, that goes there, this comes through here, everything lines up. Yeah, it's more an issue of the set screw itself not being able to get past the flange. But we'll see. I'll try and set it again, and then we'll try and use the cheap Allen key that came with it. Appears to be fully pressed on. Maybe we'll grab the cheap Allen key and we'll try and get one of those on there. But first, it just got like hecka hot up in here. My body telling me it's 12 o'clock and we were going to be leaving at 12. So cheap screw entered, or cheap screws, cheap Allen key. What the ever loving heck? Yeah, so I'm not sure if you can see this, but when I line these up, too close to the flange, And it's not letting me line up the, like this flange is too thick now and it won't let me line up the set screw regardless. So it kind of forces it to start going in at an angle and then it doesn't go in at all. So yeah, that is an issue. I'm not going to be able to do a set screw in there. So we're just going to hope that it gets squished between its respective top and bottom pieces. So we got that, we got that. We're going to put that on, but we need to mount this first before we put the top plate on. Because otherwise we're going to be the right top plate. Top plate, top plate. Whoop. Yeah. That's it. 2-5. You go there. 1-5. I'm not going to need you. 2. Let's take you apart. Retap at an angle. Well, that's an option. The question is if do I need to? Right? That'll be the question. Will I even need to have those in there? I mean, it is a free floating bearing. Yes, it should be. I mean, the shaft can rotate or it can rotate around the shaft. So if I'm having that issue with one, I'm going to have that issue with both sides. So be nice and tight. All right, you stay in. You go there, you go there, you go there. These go on. I might actually be able to put these together and still get to all 4 screws. Push that through. I should still be able to get to that screw with an angle. Okay, and then top and bottom. M5 by 12. And we've got our roll-in T-nuts. So we'll have an M5 by 12 that will go through these spacer pieces here. And they are made to line up in a specific way. Around our standoffs. And that particular one is not in the right spot. So, I mean, it's the right way, but they're two slightly different designs. So you've got to make sure that you're using the right one in the right spot so that everything lines up. That was going to line up. There we go. So it's got the two holes in it, and that's made to either go on this side or which way we go. This side or this side, doesn't matter. This pointy edge is going to be on the inside edge of your twos. So that way you see you have a full pass through right there. You see how that lines up? And then this one, we'll take it, we'll flip it over. You do have a raised edge on it, and that needs to be the side that'll go in the gantry part. That'll help line it up. So, whoops. We'll go like that. So we'll have that one there. We still need to do this other one. I'm assuming that bearing is going to go there. We're not going to be able to do those. Let's come over here. And we're looking at the part with the rounded edge. A little notch with the rounded edge. So there's our live bearing stack that actually goes in the other direction. Awesome. Flange bearing, flange bearing, flange bearing. Oh, there. That's the one I'll use. That out. So flange bearing in there. Our stack goes upside down with that spacer there, like so. Hey, look. Okay, so we've got that flange. Sorry, folks. Why do I feel like I'm missing something? I don't know. Let me put these spacers on. That might help me figure out what I feel like I'm missing. – 3x8. And these probably need to go on before I pop that in there, so make it easier on ourselves. Sorry, folks. Once it's adjusted, yep. Yeah, like I said, I could retap at an angle. I'm not sure if it's going to matter. I will double check though between now and the next stream because we're not going to be mounting anything just yet. We've got like I said, we'll have to bring the other printer up here and start taking things off of it, or maybe I'll just disassemble it off stream. That way it's, you know, I'll be able, dang it. That way I'll be able to peel off anything that's not needed and just bring up like the linear rails and stuff. And we'll probably go through and re-lubricate those linear rails anyhow. Just sounds like a good idea, or at least check them to see if they need to be re-lubricated. Yeah, it's drilled and tapped just a little bit too low. I mean, it definitely does not line up with the ones being shown in the CAD, which I'll be honest, these are pick a vendor off of Amazon, and I bet you if I got like Howge 9mm idlers or pulleys, it would have been just fine. Okay, so we've got those. We're going to grab this and put that back in there with the printed spacer facing down. And yeah, that means, oh, I'm like, why was that looking? Oh, what am I doing? Oh, there we go. We're on this side now, right? Yes. There we go. Dang it, man. Okay, we've got a 0.5, a 1, and a 1. Something tells me I did not do the right bearing stack on the other side. Oh, and I've got a full bearing stack here. 0.5, a 1, and a 1 on top. There we go. Move this nicely. That will go right there. So I don't need this. Aha, we put that on with no spacers on that side whatsoever. That was what I did. Okay. 0.5, a 1, and a 1. So we'll fix that in a second. Come on. I hate life sometimes. This spacer is probably now stuck on there. What can I do? What can I do? I know what I want to do, but I'm going to put you guys on mute for just a second. Okay, sorry about that, folks. I'm sitting here trying to figure out how much space to leave at the top there. So we've got that flange, bearing, flange, 1.5. You go that way. You stack on there that way. Okay. I think we're good there. That's going to go there. Yep. We'll put the top plate on. Lining up there and there. Do that down with some M3x8s. Yeah, I don't know. We'll figure that out. Like I said, if it needs to be addressed, we'll address it. It might not need to be addressed. I'll reach out to TurtleCrawler and ask the knowledgeable person who created it if it is going to be a problem. And if I need to, then I will take things apart off stream and address it. Okay. That there, this will go like so. Where'd you go? I miss you so. And everything is still spinning. Everything lines up. Awesome. So that goes that way. This will go this way. This will go here. This goes here. Okay. So where are we at? We are now at a position where we've got our gantry pieces completely done. And we can transition the gantry. We can transition the motors real easily because they're just going to be pop out, pop on. In fact, we could probably mount these on the frame and then mount the motors on once we pull those off. So next week, Tuesday, if not tomorrow, we will be mounting these to gantry. Actually, we'll probably mount them to gantry right now. It's an M5 screw, or M5 by 12 screw. And before I forget, we still need to fix that other. We gotta pop the top plate off here and put our washers on before I forget. but we'll be able to mount the gantry. And when I say mount your gantry, I mean literally do the crossbar that's sitting over here. We'll get that mounted between these two idlers. Come on. How did I know that was going to happen? It's fine though. 1, 1/2. Just one below, right? Yep. Okay, so we fixed the foible of forgetting to include our washers on that one bearing stack. And this side goes over there. These gubbins will go back in here with the remaining pulleys. Those bearings can go there. These bearings will go back with the rift stuff. Because who knows, we might build another rift as well. We might do a 300 by 900, but we'll see. It depends on if we need it or not. Okay, so we got that there. We got that there. Spacers, pins. These were M3 by or M5 by 35. '40s. And basically at this point, I think I have enough that I'll probably have enough of these that I can do the other one without having to buy any more. Well, I might have to buy some M5 by 35s if I don't have any more over there in the pile. You're back. How's the build going? The build is going good, Jano. We've got, after some, missteps, which happens when you're looking at CAD and, well, it says it should be this, but it needs to be something else based on, whatever. We make those adjustments and we move on. But at this point, what we've got is a motor, an XY joint, and a front idler for both sides. We're going to go ahead and mount the, let's go to the overhead. We're going to mount our gantry onto our ends here. Ooh, Maybe not. We are going to have to mount these on the linear rails before we do the gantry. So we'll mount these, slide through the gantry. We'll get that done. It's just the way I'm looking at how it's playing out. That's going to have to be done because as soon as I put the gantry in there, you'll see these plastic, you'll see that these plastic pieces are going to foul access to at least that one screw hole. So we're going to need to get all 4 of these inserted and mounted on the rails. We'll slide this through, and then we'll put in our T-nuts and get everything screwed down with T-nuts. So that's going to happen. We have to get the linear rails off of the other printer, which means I'll pull the belts. I'm probably just going to pull the belts and pull the, tear down only what I need to do to get the Y rails and the X rail off so that I can then build this out. But at this point, we are going to go ahead and call the stream. It is 12:30, and I'm going to, try and make my streams a little bit shorter here and there. And then 2, I'm going down to Echovate, so Mukesh from the automated team is out here. He flew in on Monday on a red eye, and he's been out here this week. I haven't been able to interact with him because I had a leadership offsite for work. So I went over and saw him for a little bit yesterday. And I'm going to go over and spend most of the rest of the day with him down at Echovate. So if you're in the local area and want to come by, come on down to Echovate, and hang out with us. We've got the plan last night was to get it working with the Core 1 because I've got the Mark IV back here where I was doing some other stuff. Yes, I'm going to get him to call Kevin, or at the very least, I'm going to understand the software so I can talk to Kevin. But one way or the other, that's going to happen, right? Even if I have to break open my laptop and do a Discord call with Kevin. Echovate, yep. One day you'll need to get there, definitely. Not Echo, but Eco. Echovate, like Ricola. All right, folks. Let me see who we can raid over into if anybody's up and running. We did get the Powered by Dunkin' coffee and some fat pills, so aka munchkins. But let's see who's up and running that we can raid over to. Looks like Ugly Moon just started. Mocha Maid just started. Let's jump over to Mocha Maid. They're doing a thing for St. Jude's, so we'll jump over there. And once again, thank you so much for being here. We made good progress. Like I said, we've got both of our motor mounts going. These motors are massive, which is good. We've got our XY joiners now done, and we've got the idlers done. So we're prepped and ready. Now I just need to start tearing apart the other printer, which is actually printing well right now. So it's always a sad day when you take apart a printer that's working really well to put another one in place. So okay, Waters. Hopefully I'll have that one done before I get there. Oh, wait. Before I forget, I'll bring these. These being the countersunk screws, because I know you needed them. But thanks, everybody, for being here. Please go with me as we raid over. I thought I started that. Please go with me as we raid over to the Mocha Locos, or Mocha Maid, doing their Mocha Loco St. Jude stream. And thank you all for being here. We'll continue this on Tuesday. I don't foresee anything causing a problem with continuing this on Tuesday. But we will see you guys very soon. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and get the raid started. Everybody, thank you for being here. Oh wait, Big Jano, is your printer that was worked on, that we were talking about and worked on at Murph and everything, is that up and moving? Because I missed all the streams this week. Like I said, I had a leadership offsite. It's been kind of crazy. Is your printer, the one that you were working on, up and running? Not yet. Having some clipper issues. Okay, so it's installed, but now we're working through the clipper software side. Okay, awesome. Is that going to be this evening? Because if so, I will definitely try and be on it so I can help anything that needs to be done. I'll look for your go live. One piece. Okay, great. Cool. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. I will see you guys on Tuesday. Bye now. My apologies. If you're watching this later on YouTube, thank you so much for watching and sticking around. If you like the content that you see, please be sure to subscribe below. Check that bell so you'll be notified of future videos. Heck, while you're down there, smash the like button. And we will see you next time. YouTube's going to be suggesting a new video right here. Bye now.